Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy Monday. Had to look whether it's Monday. What a weekend we had. I hope you have digested the news and I hope you are feeling better and feeling well. And we will talk about it in detail, although we have uncertainties and we have fears and there are not so many facts, but a lot of gossip and a lot of people's projections and opinions. So today the main idea is to dissect through that, to see what is real, what is somebody's opinion, and what is actually a fact. Okay, so as always, if you're watching, please comment, please ask questions and comment. We're interacting together. Add your voice to the conversation. And if you want to express your feelings, please do so too. Again, if I'm saying something that contradicts with your facts, please provide resources or sources, and I will certainly would love to stay corrected if that's needed. So again, crazy weekend yesterday, unexpected to many. And I'm not going to go into the gossip part of it, but unexpected to many, President Biden announced that he will not be seeking re-election. And I want, without further ado or without talking more about it, I want you to hear from him. I'm not sure if you got caught that, and this is the reason why I'm going live earlier. Vice President Kamala Harris traveled to Delaware. And in Wilmington, she visited the Biden-Harris headquarters, which are now Harris headquarters. And President Biden called in and he sort of provided explanation, and I want you to hear from him directly. So without any further ado, here's President Biden just about 20 minutes ago.
Into this campaign event.
But this COVID keep me out of people's hair for the next 3 or 4 days. But I'm going to be on the road, and I'm not going anywhere. It's kept me away a little bit, but I want people to remember that what we have done has been incredible, and we get so much more we're going to get done. And so I want to say hello to Kamala if she can hear me. I know she's going to be speaking shortly, and I want to say to the team, embrace her. She's the best. I want to call today to thank everybody in this effort. I know yesterday's news was surprising, and it was hard for you to hear, but it was the right thing to do. I know it's hard because you poured your heart and soul into me to help us win this thing, help me get this nomination, help me win the nomination, and then go on to win the presidency. But you're an amazing team. But we've got a great. I think we made the right decision. I know how hard you've worked, how many sacrifices you made, and so many of you uprooted your lives for me, and the kind of commitment few people make for anything these days, but you made it. And I've been honored and humbled. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. My word is a Biden, that for all you've done for me and my family. And we built the best campaign in organization in history. I've been doing this. I always kid and say, I know I'm only 40, but I've been around a long time. I don't know of a better campaign organization, grassroots campaign. We have over 230 offices opened. We have over 2,000 paid staff. And we have literally several thousand volunteers on a regular basis, thousands of them. And they've been relentless and tireless in reaching out and contacting voters. The leadership of this campaign has been amazing. Jen O'Malley Dillon, Julie Quinton, Michael Tyler, Rob Flaherty, Rufus on raising money, and so many more. You built this team. You brought them together. You brought us together. You've inspired them. And you've done what leaders do. Now we got to, the name has changed at the top of the ticket. But the mission hasn't changed at all. And by the way, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be out there in the campaign with her, with Kamala. I'm going to be working like hell, both as a sitting president, getting legislation passed, as well as in campaigning. What we still need to save this democracy. And Trump is still a danger to the community. He's a danger to the nation. And just ask my foreign policy colleagues, my counterparts, and other people around the world and at home. Look, so I'm hoping you'll give every bit of your heart and soul that you gave to me to Kamala. And I want you to know, I won't be on the ticket, but I'm still going to be fully engaged. I've got 6 months left in my presidency. I'm determined to get as much done as I possibly can, both foreign policy and domestic policy. Keep lowering costs for families, continue to speak out on guns and child care, elder care, prescription drugs, and climate. Climate still is the existential threat that we face, and if we don't win this thing, it's all in jeopardy. And we got to keep working for an end to the war in Gaza. I'll be working very closely with the Israelis and with the Palestinians to try to work out how we can get the Gaza war to end and Middle East peace and get all those hostages home. I think we're on the verge of being able to do that. And we got to keep our alliances together. It's critically important. It took a while for me to build these alliances. Most of my colleagues have acknowledged that, but it's critically important for our safety and security. And I know I'll be doing whatever Kamala wants me or needs me to do in addition. So let me be real clear. We're still fighting in this fight together. I'm not going anywhere. And I want you to know you've always had my back, and I promise you, I will always have your back. And I'm anxious for you all to hear from Kamala. So thank you, Julie. You're the best.
So you've heard it. I wanted you to hear the full speech. I think he said it all. Honestly, me covering the Biden administration is the first time covering president so close. So it's difficult to process. I'm not trying not to be biased or anything, but it's such a heartfelt environment and such a warm environment at the White House. And I've heard that today when neither president nor first lady were there, and at the event that Kamala Harris had to overtake pretty much for President Biden, that everybody felt a bit of sad. Something was missing, and I just hope that whoever comes next will be worth the title, and we certainly hope that it will be the continuation of the current administration, even if with an addition of a different vice president to Kamala Harris. So it's a bit sad, it's a bit numb. Also, I have to process it, I have to put things into thoughts, and so I will not be reading out statements and I shared it on X, I shared it everywhere. Please go read, also on Onest Network website, statements from Secretary Blinken, also from Clinton's. Both of them issued such a statement full of praise for President Biden, and that he has achieved so much and way more than other presidents had achieved within 2 terms in office. And former President Obama issued a statement too, praising Biden, but not really endorsing Harris, actually not endorsing at all, not mentioning her by name, kind of endorsing the idea of open convention, which we will be discussing in a second. But Secretary of Defense Austin, my God, please read that statement and try not to cry. It's just so, it's heartfelt, and it just shows that it is in response to what President Biden represents. And of course, he stays for 6 more months, and so, but it's just knowing that it will end in 6 months is certain. But as to his decision, why he did it, what he did it, I think you've heard from him. He will address the nation by the end of this week again, so we will hear more. And I don't want to speak for him, nor I think anybody else should be speaking for him. Okay, so next, you just heard President Biden announcing VP Kamala Harris to speak at the now Harris headquarters, and that's what she said. Please listen in. It's just 1.5 minutes.
So in the days and weeks ahead, I, together with you, will do everything in my power to unite our Democratic Party, to unite our nation, and to win this election. You know, as many of you know, before I was elected as vice president, before I was elected as United States Senator, I was the elected Attorney General, as I've mentioned, of California, and before that I was a courtroom prosecutor. In those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. And in this campaign, I will proudly put my record against his.
So now suddenly it got interesting, huh? As sad as we were and as unexpected, if I just hope that Democrats nominate Kamala Harris. Can we just get there first? Like, I understand endorsements and Pelosi does endorsements, and I will read out, other caucuses and everybody issues endorsements. Can they get her nominated so she can choose a VP and we can rock and roll? Because then it will be interesting. I'm looking forward then to this presidential debate and to prosecutor running versus a convicted felon. That's just like, if somebody was looking for any entertainment, honey, you found it. If MAGA wanted entertainment, you got it. Better than Kardashians. That will be certainly something really, really cool. She's great. It will be a tough fight, but I have her back. Yeah, it will be, but also it positions Trump's team as, a set of clowns, a set of, as right next to somebody who's a prosecutor who had a steady record of achieving a lot within the administration, who is currently in the White House working. So, it's certainly, but I do understand the sadness. I do understand the need to process everything. And trust me, I was happy I wasn't live yesterday because it just felt unexpectedly weird because we were so into, zhuzhing each other up that everything is sort of like countering all the gossip and all what media did. And for me, I think this is media's doing. Whether, and again, I showed you what could be behind it and the agents and the Silicon Valley money. And I showed it. Watch the live stream from Saturday, literally the previous one, where I showed receipts, how it all works out. But the point being is, it is of somebody else's doing. And President Biden is certainly somebody who did deserve another term. Who was ready and fighting, and what has been orchestrated, I'm not sure we will ever know the details of it, but it's just certainly unfair. And when it is unfair, that's when you feel like crying. That's when you feel very sad. If he were to say, look, I'm physically unable to do this, we would understand. We would not be upset. It's upsetting because it's unfair. And when it's unfair and you can't do anything, knowing that you've done a lot to get where we are, that's what makes you upset. That unfairness, that's what makes you upset. And so what I feel is what bothers me at the moment, because there is uncertainty on the Democratic side, and I'll show you receipts. And given what AOC shared last week, that there will be, they want to do open convention, whatnot, nobody did come against Kamala Harris yet. Nobody has filed for anything, but they can do so later. I'm not sure what are we waiting for. If there's nobody else, why she's not getting nominated or completely endorsed. So we will see. But what makes me feel kind of in a weird way is there were primaries. Everybody voted. We voted. 14 million people voted for this administration. And I understand, I hate this phrase, pass the torch, but I do understand that if President Biden trusts Kamala Harris to continue, this is sort of the same administration. What I feel uneasy about is waiting for this sort of like a political arranged marriage where we would be taught who to love and fall in love with, or Democrats will, be waiting who to endorse, which would not have much to do with voters, but much to do with electors and money, literally money behind it. So that's what makes me a bit uneasy. And if we can get to the point where she's nominated, I think it would make everybody feel a bit calm and cool and collected, where you know who you are for. right? Exactly. He did not deserve this after what he's done for this country. Absolutely. And he openly said, what bothered me also, and in general, I do question, I have, on a personal level, I have sadness. On a journalistic, on professional level, I have questions. My first question is, why did he have to debate this early? Why was he debating a convicted felon who was not the official nominee of the party? Was that to show something prior to anything? Because if there wasn't a debate, we wouldn't be here doing all this. You know? Secondly, whoever prepared him, why did they disregard the rules that there will be just 1 minute to debunk somebody's lie, which certainly you can't expect Trump to lie, and then only 2 minutes to answer a question, which he was bamboozled with all the data and policies and everything. Meanwhile, with Trump, you debate on a certain level. You're not debating on the policy level. You're debating on the poop throwing level. So, and then after the debate, the apology tour that sort of like stretched out for a few weeks with him trying to go to mass media and give the interviews. And thankfully, the very last or pre-last interview with Lester Holt, where he like literally was sort of like countering every freaking question. Before that, it was, I'm not that young, I don't walk this way, I don't talk this way, but I'm still running. Sort of the apology tour where you make an accomplished sitting president that is so respected from all around the world, with NATO leaders who host the NATO 75th summit in DC, and meanwhile has to explain, I'm still okay. And that 81 has to say, well, I'm still okay, don't declare me, this and that. That what is unfair. And that it is so sudden, it just means it's not, it is his decision ultimately. I don't want to speak for him, but it certainly looks like outside advice or could, help to decide this, because he says one thing, at one time one thing and then suddenly something else. Like on Sunday morning, he talked to different Democratic it wasn't governors, but another association, I shared it, where they showed support and said that they endorsed him. And then 1 hour later comes this statement on social media, not on the White House website, still is not on the White House website. So the delivery was sudden. And that's what made it even more so, like on a Sunday afternoon where we all found out, like, what? Unexpected. So that is sort of the questions that I have. He has a lot of advisors. He has a big team of advisors whom he trusts for over 40 years. So it's not somebody who will be turning around and like Nancy Pelosi, doing some action behind your back. So what was the intention behind it? That's the questions I have, and I'm sure we will never get answered, in all honesty. So, as to President, his doctor, per usual, today shared an update. So he had his 10th dose of Paxlovid. His symptoms have almost resolved completely. Pulse, blood pressure, respiratory rates, and everything, and temperature are all in order. And they did not mention that he did test negative. I think for that reason, that's what you just heard President Biden say, that he will be staying away from, like, staying out of everybody's hair, as he said, for a few more days. I'm not sure how he's going to be meeting Netanyahu, because Israeli's PM Netanyahu is in DC. And so he left Israel today and he announced that, yes, he will be meeting. Maybe it will be now virtual, who knows? But Netanyahu is set to meet the president tomorrow on Tuesday in DC, and then to address Congress, U.S. Congress, on Wednesday. So whether the meeting will be in person, whatnot, I know a lot of reporters tried to get this out in order to report, and it's still not confirmed. We don't have information, and I'll look it up once we're done with everything I prepared for you to see if I got any information until then. So Biden also sent a message earlier today, a text message, which said, I wanted you to hear this from me. We are the United States of America. There's nothing we can do if we do it together. We just have to remember who we are. I've dedicated my presidency to proving that, and I'll continue to do so today, tomorrow, and every day that I have the honor of being your president. So he also got briefed by his national security advisors on the Trump assassination attempt investigation, and also on Israel and Lebanon and the northern border of Israel with Houthis, and that Israel issued a counterattack to Yemen. So he has been briefed today, also had a couple of announcements on climate programs. I shared it all on X and also on the website and everywhere else. So now let's review the video of Benjamin Netanyahu, who was leaving Israel. Kind of in a humble mode. We don't really are used to seeing him like this, but just listen to him before he left to DC.
I'm leaving this morning on a very important trip to the United States at a time when Israel is fighting on 7 fronts and when there's great political uncertainty in Washington. I will address for the 4th time both houses of Congress as the Prime Minister of Israel. I will seek to anchor the bipartisan support that is so important for Israel. And I will tell my friends on both sides of the aisle that regardless who the American people choose as their next president, Israel remains America's indispensable and strong ally in the Middle East. I plan to see President Biden, whom I've known for over 40 years. This will be an opportunity to thank him for the things he did for Israel in the war and during his long and distinguished career in public service as senator, as vice president, and as president. It will also be an opportunity to discuss with him how to advance in the critical months ahead the goals that are important for both our countries. Achieving the release of all our hostages, defeating Hamas, confronting the terror axis of Iran and its proxies, and ensuring that all Israel citizens return safely to their homes in the north and in the south. In this time of war and uncertainty, it's important that Israel's enemies know that America and Israel stand together today, tomorrow, and always.
See, so I do think, and I guesstimate, knowing President Biden's mindset, that he will make that his final achievement, returning hostages, having a peace deal with Israel, between Israel and Palestine, also not allowing the northern border to escalate, the tension to escalate further into Yemen and Lebanon. So I do hear from what he said today in the now Harris HQ, and also here in Netanyahu here, I think that will be one of the main priorities, alongside Ukraine, of course. Nobody disregards war in Ukraine either. So I told you that Kamala Harris received endorsements from Pelosi very late in the game, but did today. Received endorsements from both Clintons, and they said we will do anything possible. We haven't heard from President Obama yet, former President Obama yet. She received endorsements from different PACs, also Black Caucus, Hispanic Caucus. I shared all of this, bombarded you with all those notifications. Thank you for keeping them. This morning, I shared over 28 endorsements, so you can go and read. I don't want to waste your time here, so you can do it. And also several elected officials. As to President Biden, as you just heard, Netanyahu and international leaders, including Zelensky and UK's PM Starmer, took the time to record videos and thank him and say that they're looking forward to working with him for the other 6 months and then the transition period. So everybody's sort of like, can we know what's next type of thing? So it's not just us, it's also international community, because it does matter. We're literally in the midst of several conflicts, if not wars. So, that all matters. So I mentioned that the Clintons endorsed Kamala Harris. And so this is the picture that Hillary Clinton shared on her Instagram. She said that I've known Kamala Harris a long time. This brilliant prosecutor will make the case against convicted felon Donald Trump and the Project 2025 agenda to take away our freedoms. But she can't do it alone. Become a part of this historic campaign at the link in my profile. Again, we don't know who would be the VP. There's guesstimations. I thought to do research about each, but I want to more Thank you for staying with me. This became sort of like um, a usual here. I'm disappearing, coming back. But thank you so much for staying. Not sure what's happening. But I was just sharing a picture of Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris. And so she shared that ultimately become a part of this historic campaign at the link in my profile. And this is a historic campaign. Let's just think about it. It is a convicted felon. It is a prosecutor. And it is a woman. And it is a Black woman. And, like all of it, it has so much into it and adds so much depth into it. But again, we're waiting for Democrats to nominate so we can know what's next. So in terms of donations, Team Harris shared today that they raised $81 million in its first 24 hours, adding to the existing near $250 million war chest already amassed this election cycle. So they added 88 million to the existing 250 million. This reflects money raised across the campaign, Democratic National Committee, and joint fundraising committees. This surge of support is also accompanied by numerous endorsements from federal and state elected officials, as well as major Democratic and advocacy groups united in the effort to defeat Donald Trump this November. A look beyond the top line shows historic grassroots strength and enthusiasm for Harris for president. So, for instance, 888,000 grassroots donors made donations in the past 24 hours. 60% of whom made their first contribution in the 2024 cycle. So here's a map. You can review. Kudos to Florida and Texas. Very interesting development. Team Harris 24-hour race is the highest 24-hour race of any candidate in history. In the last 24 hours, Team Harris had added 43,000 new recurring donors, with over half of these donors signing up for weekly donations. A call on Sunday evening hosted by Win with Black Women raised approximately $1.6 million in grassroots contributions alone. And Harris for President official social media at Kamala HQ doubled its following overnight, although many of you have reported that X actually prohibited you to follow back or follow the account. So make sure to follow Kamala HQ. Experience versus inexperience. Exactly, but it's also experience in terms of Trump and Kamala Harris. He has experience in being a fraud-ish, right? Fraud and convicted felon. She has experience in prosecuting such felons. So exactly what she said, it's an interesting development. So the following statement from Harris for President spokesperson Kevin Munoz has been shared. So he says, the historic outpouring of support for Vice President Harris represents exactly the kind of grassroots energy and enthusiasm that wins elections. Already, we are seeing a broad and diverse coalition come together to support our critical work of talking to the voters and that will decide this election. There is a groundswell behind Kamala Harris, and Donald Trump is terrified because he knows his divisive, unpopular agenda can't stand up to the vice president's record and vision for the American people. So what I mentioned in terms of can we get the nomination, so it has been shared here by Christine Pelosi that the NC Rules Committee meets on Wednesday, July 24th at 2 p.m. Eastern to establish a process to elect the nominee. So the meeting will be open to the public and broadcast on the Democrats' YouTube page. I will share it. I encourage everybody, if you have a chance, to watch it, but I will cover it and also report on what has been shared there. Of course, media goes and does the thing. So, of course, opinion by Washington Post, with Biden stepping aside, Democrats must now embrace an open process. Then again, with Biden stepping aside, again, open process. And it's all sort of different newspapers, different outlets with the same tagline, the same headline. Also, some started calling, including Don Lemon, for some reason, for Biden to step down because if he's not running for re-election, he is not capable to fulfill his duties. What are we talking about? What is the agenda here? So just be careful. But in terms of Trump's team, they got scared a lot. Well, much. Listen to Stephen Miller.
They held a primary. People, they had ballots. They filled out circles. They went to the voting booths. They spent money on advertisements. And as President Trump said, the Republican Party spent tens of millions of dollars running against Joe Biden. Now they just woke up one morning and said, never mind, we're canceling the entire primary. We're getting rid of our candidate, and we're pretending the election has never even happened, and we're going to let donors handpick a new nominee.
Oh, I'm so sorry that you spent $10 million on campaign against Biden, showing how he falls walking up the stairs into Air Force One, and because you thought it was easy, right? You're just going to point all the gaps and just that will be the easy route. No, honey. Now you have to fight on policy. Now you have to fight because you're losing. Your candidate is 78 going up, versus a young woman who is upbeat, who's knowledgeable, has beauty and brains. So you thought it was easy? Hell no. So I'm so sorry that this turned out this way for you. But of course they started spreading nonsense. So look at this. Laura Loomer, which is like, she posts the most disgusting stuff. I'm sorry, but it's just disgusting. And she's rumored to be, if Trump were elected, to be the press secretary. So, oh God. She says it's time for Republicans to start talking about Kamala Harris's sexual history. Why? And the reason why she likely doesn't have any children. I'm willing to bet she had so many abortions that she damaged her uterus. I can't even. A woman who has no biological children of her own should not be allowed to make decisions in the White House for young children. And Laura has no children either. I have no comment. So then another Wilt Chamberlain, certainly not the Wilt, the NBA legend. Really simple under discussed reason why Kamala Harris shouldn't be president. No children. And Donald Trump adds, Biden never had COVID. He is a threat to democracy. It's just blabbering. It's just like, I don't understand exactly. Acting like a 5-year-old. Exactly. But the circles. Exactly, the circles. We did the circles. Oh my God. So my point is this. If this was the hidden agenda and idea of the Biden-Harris campaign, because I'm not inside their head, to sort of like raise a bunch of money for Biden as the nominee and then give it up to Kamala Harris, knowing that Trump's campaign overspent already versus Biden on the ads, well, then that deserves an applause. Maybe that was the thing. I'm just guesstimating to that point. There are facts and there's guesstimation. Bunch of it is guesstimation, and we'll have to see. So, okay. Trump tweets. All right. So then JD Vance had his own rally in Ohio where he froze. And I'm not sure if we have to now start discussing if he has Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, but take a look.
Joe Biden dropped out of the race. When I see when to take bets here, when to start a betting pool just in this auditorium.
He's 39. Jesus. Okay. So he did certainly better when he was speaking at the rally, the first rally post the assassination attempt on Trump. He spoke there pretty okay. Take a look. That's where Trump introduced him for the first time at the rally.
I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me such a warm welcome, for giving me and President Trump the opportunity to win your vote, for working so hard over the next 4 months.
Did you pay attention to the pillow guy ad? Look at
I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me such a warm welcome, for giving me and President Trump the opportunity.
80% off of everything. Jesus. Okay. So then Trump spoke at that rally. I'm going to present to you 3 clips. The first one, he of course had to praise his sponsor, which is the owner of Platform X. Take a look.
And Elon, I love Elon Musk. Do we love him? I love him. And I'm constantly talking about electric cars, but I don't mean I'm totally for them, but whatever the market says. And if it's 10% of the market, 12%, 7%, 20%, whatever it is, it's okay. But you can't have 100% electric cars. And so Elon endorsed me recently, the other day, actually. He's great. Elon Musk. He's a brilliant guy. Every time I call him, he's talking about, I got a new idea for a rocket. You have to hear this? No, it's true. The first time I ever saw this, I'm watching television like 3 years ago, and I see a rocket motor engine, come down landing, straight up in, no wings, no nothing, and it's landing. I thought I was seeing things. What is that? And it's landing on a barge in the middle of the ocean. And then another one comes down, and another one. I guess 4 of them came down, 3 or 4, and they land upright. I said, what the hell was that? I've never seen that before. Now, if that were government, you wouldn't see that for another 50 to 100 years. But it was Elon. Now, think of that. And I called him, and I've always had a good relationship with him, but I called him, and I said, what was that? He said, well, we saved the engines. We saved the engines because it's very expensive to build. So, it didn't take me long to figure that if you save them, that's good. But who the hell thought you could do that? No wings, no nothing, just like these big, long, massive tubes, and they're landing gently right on the dot. I said, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And you say, how long would it take government to come up with that one? I don't think they ever heard of it. Perhaps they still haven't heard of it. But, he's a very advanced person, and he's doing other things that are great, and so are others. We have to make life good for our smart people, We have some smart people. We have to make life good for our smart people. And he's...
So first and foremost, SpaceX operates on governmental subsidies. This is where Trump was president and the whole Space Force thing happened, and the picture with Musk at the White House where Trump said, if I would have told him, bend the knee, he would have done it. That's when the whole Space Force situation happened. It's $25 billion allocated for SpaceX. Now, we talk about the tubes. Those are not the tubes. Those are not the engines. Those are boosters. So regular booster, NASA booster has 5 engines. Falcon booster, the regular SpaceX booster has 9. And then the Super Heavy has 33 engines. So it's not an engine. It's a booster with engines. Yes, the landing in the ocean on this, but I love you that it's called this way. The podium, whatever, the barge. But just the imagination, I thought there were wings. Why would there be wings? It's coming down. It's actually doing burns, so it slowly slows itself down on the landing. Why would there be a wing? Oh my God. Anyway, Elon Musk and SpaceX and everything operates on governmental subsidies and investors' money. So government hasn't heard of it. Well, SpaceX is pretty much the contractor for Space Force. And under Trump, it was actually proceeding. So government has never heard of it or still hasn't heard of it. What are you talking about? And SpaceX is operating from NASA. Yeah, I can't. Okay. Anyway, your comments. I had to turn my volume down. Can't stand listening. I know. Duck whistling, anti-government BS. Exactly. And he is the government. He's like, I'm running for the government, but I'm anti-government. Okay. Congratulations. So please bear with me. 2 clips of Trump. One is where he said that the Democrats are evil. Here you go.
And as you're seeing, the Democrat Party is not the party of democracy. They're really the enemies of democracy. The parties of corrupt insiders like Whitmer, special interests, and the failed political class. That's what they are under our leadership.
Of course, because he was in Michigan, and I showed you on Saturday the video that Whitmer recorded as a welcome for Trump and said, listen, we will never endorse Project 2025, but have a good stay. So obviously he saw it and had to mention. So, and then he talks about dictators and why it makes sense to call them brilliant.
A good thing. A lot of times the press would say he gets along with Kim Jong-un, North Korea. He has a lot of nuclear weapons. I got along with him great. You were never in danger with me as your president. It's a good thing to get along, not a bad thing. I used to tell him, why don't you do something else? All he wants to do is buy nuclear weapons and make them. I said, just relax, chill. You got enough. You got so much nuclear weapons, so much. I said, just relax. Let's go to a baseball game. I'll show you what a baseball. We'll go watch the Yankees, or we'll come watch Michigan at its home opener. Okay, how about that?
You're not going to the Yankees. No. Nowhere whatsoever. So if you think about Trump rally, you can describe it in this meme. Whoever commented with this, I'm grateful. China virus, sending the murderers. Crazy Nancy Pelosi emptying our, emptying out their insane asylum. Invasion, deface the nation, the late great Hannibal Lecter. Exactly. So see, this is already the summary of any kind of rally. But if you wonder, post-assassination attempt, with the ear blown away or whatever the talk is, you wonder, how did the family get in touch with him? What did they say? Were they scared? Were they worried? How did they comfort him? Now, Don Jr. went on a podcast and shared exactly that. Enjoy.
You're speaking to your siblings? Well,
yeah. Oh, yeah. That the call to my father. I couldn't get through. Finally, I got through to my brother. He's like, "Hey, I just got through." Puts me on speakerphone, so it's me and my brother. Kim's there. My ex-wife was there. My kids are there. Like, everyone's sort of, most of the family's just on speaker. I'd spoken to Ivanka a few seconds before that. We're just on speakerphone. Talking to him. He was just, very calm, collected. It got to the point where it was like almost you sort of needed that icebreaker. So I'm usually the inappropriate guy. So I was like, how's the hair? How's the hair, Dad? He goes, the hair's fine, but it's a little bloody. There's a little blood in the hair, but the hair's fine. We had a little moment of, of levity there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a somber moment.
How's the hair? And then he copies his own dad. Interesting. Wow. Anyway, at least they had a talk. So next thing. By the way, the ear situation, right? What we saw at RNC, that people were wearing bandages and this always, all days, some female products. Well, this spreads internationally. So there is this kind of interesting channel, weird, I would say, that is very propaganda-like in the UK. And so their host showed up with this. Take a look.
I'm wearing a bandage on my ear because it is a sign of love, yes. Several supporters of former President Donald Trump wore bandages like the one I'm sporting at the moment on their ears to the third night of the RNC in Milwaukee in Wisconsin. Now, the Arizona delegation that were there, they said they're wearing the bandages as a sign of solidarity with the former president after he survived that assassination attempt. Now, there they are. I feel I'm with kindred spirits. We're all wearing our bandages on our ears as a sign of love.
Dodo birds would never. Jeez. But how incredible. So it just goes to show that British accent doesn't really add to your IQ. But it does spread, so be vigilant. I also shared today about a website. It's like a newspaper called Voz, V-O-Z. There's mainly targeting with ads on X and across social media, Spanish speakers, and they have in English some content which I shared, and a lot in Spanish. They're based in Madrid and really propaganda-like. So be vigilant what you consume, and no, this was not satire and not a comedy show. Is actually their news. I did my best trying to find out that it is satire, but no. So if it is ultimately, which hopefully it would be the case, is Kamala Harris versus Trump, how would the ads look like? Here's an example.
Sick of this? Well, think about this. He's a world leader in temper tantrums. She never loses her cool. She prosecuted sex predators. He is one. Grab him by the... She shut down for-profit colleges that swindled Americans. He was a for-profit college.
At Trump University, we teach success.
Literally. He's owned by the big banks. She's the attorney general who beat the biggest banks in America. and force them to pay homeowners $18 billion. He's tearing us apart. She'll bring us together. This is Trump. And in every possible way, this is the anti-Trump. So if that's what you're looking for in your next president, there's really only one. Kamala.
Interesting. Will be interesting. Nikki Haley and her PAC actually renamed themselves, and they're now PAC for Harris. So I shared it yesterday. They shared it. I shared it today again in a statement. So they do support now Kamala Harris. And so speaking of Nikki Haley, I found some clips where maybe she can foresee the future. Who the heck knows? But hopefully, yes. Take a look.
The first party to retire its 80-year-old candidate is going to be the party that wins this election.
And she didn't stop there.
If Donald Trump is the nominee, mark my words, we will see a President Kamala Harris.
Ta-da! And if it wasn't enough for conspiracy theories and hopes and tarot cards, here's The Simpsons, which, of course, this picture went viral today, but how could they? How do they do this all the time? We always get these pictures that do resemble the reality. I know few writers who work on the Simpsons, but they would never share. So maybe there is something to it. Who knows? So, of course, Kamala Harris, Vice President, welcomed the NCAA athletes champions at the White House today on the South Lawn. This event should have been was planned to be hosted by President, but she stepped in and she delivered a speech. And I want to share with you just the beginning of it, where she spoke about the president. So let me pull this up real quick because I restarted my computer. So some things. Okay, here we go.
Our President Joe Biden wanted to be here today. He is feeling much better and recovering fast, and he looks forward to getting back on the road. And I wanted to say a few words about our president. Joe Biden's legacy of accomplishment over the past 3 years is unmatched in modern history. In one term, he has already, yes, you may clap. In one term, he has already surpassed the legacy of most presidents who have served 2 terms in office. And I first came to know President Biden through his son, Beau. We worked together as attorneys general in our states, and back then, Beau would often tell me stories about his dad. He would talk about the kind of father and the kind of man that Joe Biden is. The qualities that Beau revered in his father are the same qualities that I have seen every day in our president. His honesty, his integrity, his commitment to his faith and his family, his big heart, and his love, deep love of our country. And I am firsthand witness that every day our President Joe Biden fights for the American people, and we are deeply, deeply grateful for his service to our nation. And so with that, on behalf of our President and Dr. Biden, I am honored to welcome all of you to the White House to celebrate the achievements of these great athletes. And then she went to introduce the athletes, and then several people spoke. So I shared the full speech on X, and so you're very much invited to watch it. It's about 5 minutes total, so not that long. So also today, the director of United States Secret Service has faced cross-examination. This was her opening statement.
The Secret Service's solemn mission is to protect our nation's leaders. On July 13th, we failed. As a director of the United States Secret Service, I take full responsibility for any security lapse of our agency. We are fully cooperating with ongoing investigations. We must learn what happened, and I will move heaven and earth to ensure that an incident like July 13th does not happen again.
And so it was kind of weird when she was cross-examined. She answered as to how many threats were there prior to the rally, and she said maybe two to five, which was sort of like those random answers that only allowed the MAGA community to go crazy. And so ultimately, because of their crazy response, I'm not sure how much we got out of that meeting. I will update you on that, but some of the videos so you understand what went on. Take a look.
That is a no. Have you provided all audio and video recordings in your possession to this committee, as we asked on July 15th, yes or no?
I would have to get back to you.
That is a no. You're full of shit today. You're just being completely dishonest.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
Chairman, I want to.
Come on.
We have to maintain decorum in this committee, no matter how
have you provided
upset we
any
get.
and all memos to this committee that we've asked you on July 15th? Have you provided all memorandums within the Secret Service?
I would have to get back to you on
that. That is a no. You are being dishonest or lying. You're being dishonest here with this committee. These are important questions that the American people want answers to, and you're just dodging and talking around it in generalities. And we had to subpoena you to be here, and you won't even answer the questions. We have asked you repeatedly to answer our questions. This isn't hard. These are not hard questions.
So they also asked to reveal information that is can only be revealed on background, and because it's streamed, I'm sure there's something to it. But always count on MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, to take it up a notch.
Was there a conspiracy to kill President Trump?
Absolutely not.
Then how did this happen? And why are you still sitting here not turning in your letter of resignation?
Last question, but please answer, and then I'll recognize Mr. Presley. Please answer the question.
That is what we are investigating to determine.
We're waiting for your letter. We are waiting for your letter of resignation, and you really need to consider doing that before you leave today.
Here's my question with the MAGA community. You don't ask for facts, and there's videos I shared where they don't like facts, they like feelings. And so all of this is feelings. You want to get to the bottom of it, right? Who was shooting? Was there? Who did what, right? What do we know? What bullet actually killed the unfortunate bystander? Do we know this? Is that the same one? Also, there were videos, and I'll share them, where people, professionals, try to reenact what could have happened to Trump, and they put the hat and they start shooting from AR-15. I'll share this video maybe tomorrow. Stupid of me not to pull it up today, but they just showed that damage would be incredible. It's not a Band-Aid situation. It would have been very much different. So why does MAGA not get to the bottom of things? Instead of asking for resignations, which if it is her failure, then yeah, that would be the next step. But get to the bottom of it. What did happen and what did not happen? And, also his medical treatment. The drunk doctor that lost his license in 2020 and said there's a 2-centimeter hole in his ear. This is nonsense. Why can't we get CT scan, and that's the main message from that they don't want to provide CT scan results. Why don't you get to the bottom of it? Like, why not? That is my question. All of it is feelings. All of it is PR, and that videos go viral, and that is the intention. If that's the intention, well, you're winning with your intention, but how does it add you further? Back to normal people. Pete Buttigieg had an interview with Tyler Cohen, and they talk about electric cars. They talk about MTG. So listen to it. It's pretty cool.
I feel like I need your response to this.
And you think gas prices are high now? Just wait until you're forced to drive an electric vehicle.
It's also probably worth noting for Marjorie Taylor Greene that you probably aren't too concerned about the cost of gas if you're driving an EV. So I don't know what that fear-mongering was supposed to accomplish for her.
If you really wanted to think it through, I suppose if everybody was driving an EV, then global petroleum markets would probably show a drop in demand, which means oil would actually be cheaper. But yeah. I doubt she thought through all of those.
Yeah.
Demand and supply. That's why the MAGA world says that the prices were cheaper for gas during COVID. Yeah, because nobody drove. That's why we were hunting for toilet paper. Nothing was brought in, and nobody drove. Nobody had places to be or, things to do. So it's demand and supply. So, yikes. Okay. But to finish on a better note, here's a video that I found from Kamala Harris when she was running. I think this would be all the Democrats once she's officially the nominee. Take a look. It's pretty cool.
Did you vote? Are you gonna vote? Oh, will you ask people that you know to vote, please? And will you ask them to vote for me? Thank you.
Did you vote? Are you gonna vote? So that is the future. Also, I wanted to remind you that this coming week, the Olympics are starting, and the opening ceremony is on Friday, July 26th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern until 5:15 Eastern. You can watch it on NBC or Peacock, and the flag bearer will be LeBron James, who is participating. Don't quote me, but I think his 5th Olympic Games, which is incredible. They had a game today against Germany. You could have seen it. I think it was around 12 p.m. Eastern. So a pretty cool sight to see. The First Lady, Jill Biden, Dr. Biden, will be representing and headlining our delegation. I shared everybody who will be joining her. So there's like ambassador to France and Monaco. So just check the full statement. And then to the closing ceremony, the second gentleman, Elmhoff, will be headlining his delegation. It's August 11th, I think. But we'll share more about it. And if you're excited to watch Olympics, I know I am. It's good change for get out of politics and just watch some sports. Not voting is an abuse of privilege. Indeed, exactly. And especially like if you are an immigrant and you finally are able to vote, and I certainly understand the feeling, or you come from a family of immigrants. So many people had put so much blood, sweat, and tears into the ability to vote, and also with our historical background in the United States, minorities and women, and just so much had been put on the line to be able to vote. So please plan on doing so. And for Democrats, if anybody's listening from DNC, please nominate already so we can start breathing and not being, and if we're talking about this open whatever situation and this sort of like Miss America run, but at DNC in Chicago, that's a shit show. Let's not get there. I don't think this looks good, neither internally nor for the outside world, for all those world leaders that were hosted by President Biden in DC just about a week ago. So everybody is very carefully listening and watching about what we're doing. Every single channel covers it, every single country, because it matters. So show some, grow a pair and decide. Let's not go for the show factor of it, because as I mentioned, if you already have Kamala Harris versus Trump, that is show. That is enough show. Trust me, will be enough show for people to watch it. Those who will be watching perhaps even first time. So that's it from me. Thank you so much. Your email will come in just a second or in an hour or so. I'm going to put some information here. If you're not subscribed, go to onest.substack.com. If you're watching on YouTube or not, if you are on YouTube, please follow Onest, ONEST network, in case, God forbid, something happens to the Bird app. And because I'm quite outspoken, so we don't run into any issues. So please go and subscribe to the letter. As an Army brat, and I always told of sacrifices for you. Oh dear. Yes, we need to vote. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. And by the way, read the Secretary Austin's letter to Biden. That line that, entire Pentagon is saluting you for your love for the nation. It's just, it's rare, not everybody will hear this. But certainly we're living in times where president's well deserving of those words. So thank you so much for tuning in. You get your emails in a second, and I'm happy you posted it. Awesome. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bonnie. Bonnie M. Sounds like Bonnie M. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow, and have a peaceful night.